Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Transfers. What are screen printed transfers and when is heat transfer the wrong solution? By Ben Carroll from Vicon Transfers. Before we get started, I'll go over a few things so you know how to participate in today's event. You're listening in using your computer speaker system by default. If you'd prefer to join over the phone, select telephone in the audio pane and the dial-in information will be displayed. You'll have the opportunity to submit questions to Ben by typing them into the questions pane on the control panel. You may send your questions in at any time and we'll collect these and address them during the Q&A session at the end. To give you a brief introduction on today's presenter, Ben started in the heat transfer industry in 2006, setting up Velflex, a national distributor of heat transfer film and equipment. Over the years working with clients discussing heat transfer solutions and at times its lack of, he realised a screen print method had production advantages over digital production, however current solutions didn't have the same printed quality. In 2013, he started working to develop a better screen printed transfer solution that matched or exceeded the quality of digital transfers. Vicon Transfers is his new business and it's providing the missing piece in the current heat transfer puzzle, educating distributors and supporting other digital transfer producers, helping provide them with a better solution where digital production methods simply aren't suited. I'll now hand you over to Ben.
Excellent, thanks Kate. Guys, what I want to get out of today and make sure that you take away from here is the difference between heat transfer and screen printing or embroidery, sort of some of the finer details that will make it easier for you to choose heat transfer as a printing solution and when it's right for you as a printing solution. If you've got particular questions, make sure that you write them in the chat section. We'll have a bit of a Q&A at the end and we'll be able to answer those. So, all right, but I'll start it off. So heat transfer printing, what is new in heat transfer and when is heat transfer the wrong solution? These are things I'm going to go through. So what is heat transfer in a quick background? We're going to go through the development of where it has come over the last 10 years. Let's be honest, heat transfer, certainly when it was digital, heat transfer came out, it was thick, it was PVC, it didn't wash anywhere near as well, it's come a long way. We'll touch on what screen printing, embroidery and DTG do for the embroidery, the embellishment of printing promotional products and where they fit in. They're all very valid. No product or no printing solution is taking over another. They're just better at doing certain things. Why is heat transfer not the best solution for some jobs? Okay, and we'll go through that. We often get promotional clients, yourselves, sending work to us often that even us in-house, we think to ourselves, this would be better embroidered or it would be better screen printed. So knowing the questions to ask, we want to ask you those questions, but certainly knowing them yourself, you'll be able to hopefully determine that and make sure you make the right choice of who's going to be printing your product. We'll go through the signs of heat transfer and when it is the right solution, okay? And that's really important. There's some really cool things that heat transfer can do that other print solutions can't. Problems promotional distributors may have encountered. Now, what I want to do is I want to talk about these because I'm sure you've all gone through issues with using heat transfer. It might be fading prints, it might be dye migration, it might be the fact that the text you've provided is too small and it needs to have a contour, which means color matching to the garment. Now, we'll go through those problems. There are things that you can do and talk to your supplier or whoever your heat transfer printer is to determine if they're the right one for your particular job. Okay, and we'll discuss that. Heat transfer is a very easy market to get into. So you've got printers who are all on different levels of the product that they can supply. We'll also go through, and this is what really excites me and where we're going, is where is heat transfer going with its manufacturing in Australia? So what's on offer right now? What's actually happening that can offer you better solutions so you can provide more to your customers, printing more products in a more cost-effective way. Okay, so we'll go through that. And obviously that's how you can benefit from this new technology. Cool, guys, fundamentally what is heat transfer? In simple terms, it's an ink impression that is first printed onto a carrier. So we produce the transfer first, and then there's a second stage that it's later applied to the fabric using heat and pressure. Now, here's a quick little video. Here's a transfer being applied onto a garment. So if you haven't ever seen it before, I'll just take you through. So as we can see, the transfer has been held in the hand, it's already produced, it's been QC'd and checked, so we know the colour's right. We place it down. It's got a bit of plastic over the top as well. This is a protective carrier. It also holds the transfer in place so it doesn't move when we actually press it onto the garment. So we know we're not going to get a skew print or anything like that. Heat pressing usually takes around about 8 seconds, 8 to 10 seconds depending on the print. As soon as that press is done, we can remove the carrier and that vinyl transfer has welded itself to the fabric. You now have a print that should last you for the entirety of the garment wear. Okay, so as we can see, the light's not great, but that is a full color print for future use. Okay, what's the history of heat transfer and where has it come? Originally, transfers were plastisol screen printed transfers, or you may have seen even die-cut block numbers and letters. They used to be on a paper backing. Plastisol is still very much in the market right now. It's using more screen print technology, screen print inks, to produce a transfer that can be heat applied onto the garment. It's great for doing t-shirts. It's great for doing cotton hoodies and things like that. Where plastisol and typically where also screen print is great at is those garments, but it's not so good. It finds trouble when it is printing onto your polyesters and your new technical fabrics. And that's where current sort of fabric and garment fashion is going. It's poly cotton blends, it's nylons, it's lycras, it's different type of products, and that's where the digital sort of world of transfer is really coming in. So in the last decade, you know, post 2000s, with PVC vinyl, it's starting to move to polyurethane. Okay, it's a much safer product, much softer, stretchier, so it's better feel for the garment. We have digital plotter cut designs, so designs aren't being just printed through a screen. We've got digital computerization of production, so things are extremely accurate. You get beautifully represented prints and results. We've got full color transfers. So the digital printing era has allowed us to, you know, everybody's got Adobe Illustrator these days and logos are going more full color. That full color digital printing of transfers is now allowing everybody to print these type of transfers onto garments. Okay, and also clear plastic liner. So, you know, as we can see in this picture, this transfer's got a clear liner. We can see through the actual transfer. So we can see where it's being placed. We can see if it's a little bit crooked, making sure it's the best print. Years ago, because it was on paper and it was very difficult to see through. What's going on now? Well, now we have the best of both worlds in terms of screen printing and digital transfer. I'm going to touch on that a little bit later, though, as we move through the slides. Okay, what are the other print options so that we can talk about them first off? Screen printing, we all know the pros. It's cost effective on medium and high volume runs. The fact that the size of the print doesn't matter, so the bigger the print, it makes it easier for you to quote. You're literally just quoting per position on the quantity of the prints that you need and also the number of colors. You can get fine detail. The cons of screen printing is placement limitations. So now the promotional companies are moving away from just the stock standard t-shirt, and let's be honest, there's thousands of them still being done, but you know, you're doing more bags, you're doing more handouts, small little golf bags, the variety of products. Screen printing onto those can be difficult. You've also got the setups, and obviously small runs aren't as efficient with screen printers anymore. Embroidery, pros, it's very traditional, okay? And a lot of clients like that. It's durable. It's probably the most durable print that you can get. You don't have a background, so the stitching of the text or the logo where you want it, you don't have to compromise on the logo. The cons are gradients are difficult. So when we talked about people getting, you know, better at Illustrator, better at Photoshop and full color designs, logos are being built with gradients. It's being built with full colors. You don't have that ability with embroidery. It's certainly much more difficult to do a full color design than it is to do a 1 or 2 color. It's rigid. So when we talk about today's fabrics as well, especially lightweight, stretchy fabrics, embroidery does have that rigid finish. So a lot of people move away from embroidery for this sort of fabric. And again, placement limitations, needing to get that sports bag or that that case or that promotional product under an embroidery stitch can be difficult at times, and you can't get the placement that you'd like. DTG, great, full color, great stretch and feel, very good for small runs as well. But again, limitations on the fabric. You can't print the poly blends and polyesters and sportswear and things like that. You can't put a bag under a DTG machine, etc. There's minimal volume cost benefit. So as soon as you start getting up as your medium run, that doesn't work for you either. So you've got to be charging for the actual small run print, and that's where you've got to be making the margin. Okay, when does heat transfer not suit your printing requirements? Digital heat transfer, or heat transfer in general, it's a two-step process. So first off, we have to produce the transfer, and then we later apply it onto the garment. Now, if you're talking about a screen printer is doing that in one motion. They have somebody printing the actual garment. That's, from a labour point of view, the same cost as one of our stages. So heat transfer does have a higher human cost element to it because it's over those two stages. If you have a client or a job where cost is the highest priority, you know, it's just promotional giveaway, it's been handed out, it's been used once, you might find that heat transfer is not the ideal solution unless there's other things at play such as small run, fast turnaround, something like that. The next big one is the biggest print possible. When a client comes to you, and obviously promotional branding is all about awareness. People want to see their logo and they want it to be out there and they want to get value for their money. Traditionally, screen printing and other forms, the size doesn't matter. So if somebody came to you and said, I want the biggest print, I want this white t-shirt here with a dollar sign as big as I can get it on the t-shirt or the garment, that they feel is maximizing their return. But if we're talking about heat transfer, what it's doing is drastically increasing the cost of the actual transfer. Now, if we were to halve the size of that transfer, you still got the logo, you still might have the same visual effect, but you're going to have half the cost. So understand, if biggest print size is important to the client, then heat transfer may not be the right solution. Screen printing or another method might be where size doesn't matter. Alternatively, think about this. If a client wants the biggest print possible, but it's better suited for heat transfer because it's short run, fast turnaround, full color requirements, then think about the size. If we were to make the size of this print slightly smaller, is that going to drastically affect the actual end result, or is it going to be the same end result? If it's going to give the same end result and it's still going to meet the client's requirements, it will save money. So be very conscious on size. It does matter when we're talking about heat transfer. Commercial laundering. Now, think hospitality or hard soiled workwear. Definitely your hot washing transfers, we print them with heat. So that's how we get the glue to bond with a garment. If they're being hot washed, if they're being dried in dryers, commercial dryers in particular, that heat is being added to the print again, but you don't have us with solid pressure down onto the garment. Often it can activate the actual glue again and the transfers will peel. So if commercial laundering is important, because hospitality or workwear, think of grease or mechanics gear or things like that, possibly another print solution such as embroidery might be the better solution. Here I'm going to go on when is heat transfer the right solution though. Think about yourselves when you're in a promotion, you're in your office, you've got orders coming in and you've got print designs coming in. These are the things that you want to be picking up. If your client is after a small run quantity, okay, then certainly, let me just get that moved. And where's my mouse? Here we go. There we go. When heat transfer is the right solution, small run. So if it's 5 units or 10 units, us personally, we have a 10-unit minimum on any full color transfers, but you might find your printer only has a 5-unit minimum. They might have less. Small run for digital transfers is very cost effective because it's easy to set up. Short deadline, exactly the same reason it's fast to set up. If you have a short deadline and something needs to be printed now, there's minimal setup in getting the job actually done. Somebody could actually have that printed out in half an hour or an hour and produced. In-house, we do give rush options, so we have a 4-day turnaround and we can do right up to a 12-hour delivery. We do charge for those things. Your supplier can also do the same thing. They can shorten their deadline if you need it. And often heat transfer is a faster solution than, say, getting setups with embroidery or screen printing done. Small logo design, again, when we're talking about heat transfer, the smaller the logo, the more cost effective it becomes. So often when we're comparing against screen print is the same price whether it's small or really big. If you've got a really big design, maybe screen printing's got the advantage. But when it's really small, you might very well find that heat transfer has that advantage. Full colour. Over the last 10 years, we've seen full colour digital transfers. As we can see in this picture, we can see that that's really come in. Anytime that you receive a full colour design, you really need to be thinking, okay, heat transfer is probably my best solution for printing this. Reflective. Now, when we talk about reflective transfers, we have safety reflective as a standard for heat transfer. All suppliers should be able to have that, and it's usually meeting international safety standards. Not a lot of them have been paid for to have the Australian standard applied to their vinyl, simply due to the cost, but all quality supplier of reflective transfer film, it will have passed international safety standards for use overseas, which either meets or surpasses the Australian standards. If you're unsure, ask your printer and they can get it from their film supplier what standard that it meets. Tricky garments or item placement. Now, this is the beauty of heat transfer when we talk about the two-stage process, is we can produce a perfect print and then apply it onto the garment later. Yes, there's a human cost involved, but what it means is we can apply a perfect print in an awkward or a tricky spot. Think of golf bags, think of compendiums, think of laptop cases, think of near the seam, okay? We can print where other solutions that are direct printing, such as embroidery or screen printing, heat transfer can be printed where others can't. So if you have a placement that is difficult, it might be near the collar, it might be near some buttons. Heat transfer very well might be your best solution. Customization, again, this comes from the digitalization of heat transfer. If it's player names or you need customization of a print, it might be a full color print and you need 100 of that same print, but inside that print is a different person's name or a number or something along those lines. A QF code, think of those sorts of things. Digital transfer is a brilliant solution for it because it's very easy to make up 100 logos that all have a different barcode or a different name or a different number. In InDesign, we can do it through a CSV file. So those sorts of things can be pulled in. Again, we touched on it before, technical fabrics. So with fabrics and garments going stretchy and soft, you moving towards a transfer, our solutions are soft, stretchy. They're designed to go onto those poly blends and you know, sublimated garments where you might find you have other issues. This big one, multiple logos per order, this is a big one for saving costs. So within screen printing or embroidery, often you charge for the quantity of the logos per placement. With heat transfer, or certainly with us, and you might see on this design right here, we've got two logos in this picture. We've got a smaller logo and we've also got a slightly bigger logo. We charge for the total quantity of transfers that you're ordering in that order. So if you're getting 100 left breast logos, plus you're getting left sleeve logos, plus you're getting right sleeve logos, and you're getting a big one on the back, that's 100 of each design. We would actually charge each of those transfers for their appropriate size at the 400 quantity mark. Okay, so you're getting that volume buying power simply because it's easy to set up. We set them all up at once and produce them all at once, and we pass that volume buying on. That's where multiple logos per design really suit heat transfer. Okay, these are some of the problems you guys might have faced previously. Now, fading prints, you've all had it probably. This is important because not every printer is the same. Primarily, Roland are a big supplier of the digital printers to the market. Roland use their EcoSol Max ink, and that's because it's their lowest solvent ink, meaning it's not overly abrasive. It looks after the printer, so the printer has their warranty that they can, you know, they don't sort of chew through print heads and things like that. What it causes for washability though is the ink doesn't bite into the vinyl anywhere near as well. So washability is better if you are using a reputable supplier who uses a good quality vinyl. Okay, that's number one, is important. But secondly, what type of ink is the printer using? Because they do have some choices. They can choose to use more mild solvent inks. It means they need to be smarter on the way that they use their printer. They need to do more regular cleaning, but you will get a better washability. Okay. Secondly, and I'm sure you've all had this, and I sort of try to demonstrate this in the photo, the picture down the bottom of the Jetstar logo, when you've received the logo back, but it just hasn't had the right tonal color that you wanted. Orange in particular is a really hard one when you're printing, when the digital printer only has 4 colors. So as we can see in the top photo here, this is a photo of 8 colors, CMYK, but it also has light cyan, light magenta, orange as a color, and it also has a light black. The more colors the printer has, the more ability it is to print a wider color gamut, meaning when you want an orange, it prints a proper orange. When you want light colors, if you want a light color and you've only got CMYK, the way you achieve that is by printing just a little bit of ink. But if you're only printing a little bit of ink, it means you get a dull, it's not punchy and bright. The opposite is, if you want it punchy and bright, the solution is to put down lots of ink, but then it goes dark. So you don't have those bright colors, it's quite dark and dull. So ask your printer or your supplier, do they use a 4-color printer or do they use an 8-color printer? 8-color printers have only sort of come out in the last couple of years. People are sort of, as they upgrade, are moving towards them, but this is really important. It's the difference between the top Jetstar and the bottom Jetstar, and that is important for your client. Okay, higher than expected costs. Now, obviously, we've talked about size, we've talked about weeding cost, the human factor, the two-stage step. Again, if cost is most important, think about the logo itself and the weeding that's needed. There's that human cost component. Unfortunately, it's not one that we can easily get around with the digital solution, but we do have a solution for this, which I'll get onto next. Fourth one, quality of the print or rough edges. Again, what equipment does your supplier use? So make sure that if they've got rough edges, it's a digital solution. It should be perfect. Okay. Dye migration and discoloration. That photo there just shows you on the left it's white, but on the right it's actually the white print has sort of dyed from the maroon. This is really important. If you're printing a polyester garment or a blended garment that's a red or a black or a red, we've all probably had this. It's important for you as a promotional supplier to know that when you're supplying the garment to the printer, that this is something they should be aware of. When we're producing transfers, often we'll print the transfers and produce them before the stock arrives. Now, if the stock arrives and it hasn't been told that it's a sublimated fabric or it's a heavily dyed polyester, and the other thing is you don't necessarily know. So if it's heavily dyed, but if it is polyester, you should be letting your printer know that it's a polyester garment, and possibly dye migration resistance might be important. As heat transfer producers, we have those solutions. We have films that stop the dye migration from coming through. So if we know about it, we can make sure that you'll never receive that sort of print. Okay. The worst of all is contours and weeding. Now, this is something that is difficult to get around with digital prints. People design logos very much like this logo here on the right, the Nightcliff Community, the child one, Early Learning Centre. The right-hand side of the logo is perfect digital logo. It's a rounded circle, full colour print. But the logo to the left of it, the Child Australia, that was just white text. Okay, white text, if that was being a left chest logo, small, digital transfer producers wouldn't be able to produce that white section of the logo. They've got to contour it around just to be able to produce it. Now, we've all had to do it. We do this for clients if the quantity is only 10 units and they need a solution. This is the only solution. This is what has to be provided. But be conscious of this when you're actually receiving the orders, that this might be something that needs to be done. What I've worked on in the future and what's going to come up next is a solution to this, because this is a problem that every digital transfer producer has, and promotional distributors like yourself feel it, and the people that lose out are the end user, the one that's actually wearing the transfer, that's got the contour around with the color match, because often the color match doesn't meet perfectly, different finishes, and sometimes it looks a bit more like a sticker than an actual branded logo. So I'm sure we've all been through that. Cool. A couple of years ago, and this is where heat transfer is going, but I realised that all digital heat transfer producers were 10% of jobs that we received fundamentally didn't suit heat transfer either. But they couldn't be screen printed because they were a small run or they're going onto a bag. They couldn't be embroidered because it was couldn't for placement or for size or something like that. So it ends up being a heat transfer job, but it didn't suit digital heat transfer either. What I've done is created a new solution. It's what we call our IcoFlex transfers, or it's a water-based transfer, but what it's doing is it's joining the solution of screen print and heat transfer together. Now, people know of plastisol transfers and they've been around for years. This is very much like the technology of plastisol being brought forward into today's technology and today's realm of fabric refinements. So the actual ink itself is very comparable to your digital vinyl. It's very safe. It's 100% water-based. What you get is a soft, stretchy transfer that is everything that a digital transfer is, but you get the benefits of screen printing as well. So we're talking about the fine detail, and you can see in the photo here of the Coca-Cola amateur ones, you know, no contours whatsoever, with multiple coloured prints being pressed onto laptop cases, and these are iPad cases actually, difficult to print, screen print, or even pad printing, multiple different colours, the placement right near the edge as well. We've been able to easily do that with transfer using this new screen printed transfer technology. Talking about the Woolworths logo, and think about this. If you had a job just like that from Woolworths, which, yes, the white section of the transfer is a splatter of ink, so screen print process is the perfect one because you would have to contour it around if you did it digitally. The actual W of the Apple symbol, as they call it, has about 4 green colours in it. So if we talk about this job, let's say it's a 6-colour job. Well, for this client, it was going on caps, aprons, it was going on to chef's garments, so tops as well. So there was about 4 different sized logos. If you were to screen print it, you'd have to have those 5 colour setups for every different size logo. With heat transfer, or with this new solution, which is this joining of the screen print technology, we would be able to put all those 4 different size logos onto one sheet, meaning we'd only ever have one lot of setup, but we get all the various different sizes for all the different garments. The big one on the apron, the really small one for the caps, the middle-sized one for the shirts, the polos, for the chef's tops, that sort of thing. So when you're talking about multiple prints, that's when transfers come in. Moving down this list though, you've got PMS matching, volume pricing of screen print. It's soft, it's dye migration resistant, so every transfer that is ever produced, whether screen printed or digital, we have that dye migration resistant agent, which we can actually put onto the back. Again, total quantity pricing. So if we're thinking about that, the Woolworths job that I was talking of, we charge the total number of transfers produced at the various different sizes and placements, meaning if this was only 25 garments, so 25 hats, 25 aprons, 25 male tops, 25 female tops, that's a total of 100 transfers. And typically speaking, 100 transfers is a much better buy price than the 25 quantity transfer price. Okay, so you're starting to get the quantity volume buying, which is the beauty of screen print, but we can use transfer in multiple sizes and saving on the setups. Okay, we're starting to call this the complete heat transfer solution. So realistically, digital has been this brilliant heat transfer solution over the last 10 years where it's come from, and plastisol and screen printed transfers prior to that were a great solution. What we're talking about now is that complete solution. So it's the digital era. It's soft, it's stretchy, it's designed for fabrics that move, technical fabrics across all the different garments, but also think of your nylon bags and your non-woven and woven bags, and the flap that goes on the top of a tiny little casing, that sort of thing. These things can all be printed with transfer, but now with the beauty of, okay, full color, but if that transfer has a full color element that's done digitally, we can also do the second part to it using the screen process and put the two together when we apply them onto the garment. Okay, this is the way of giving your client the best solution, and it's revolutionizing the way that we do it. If we don't have to charge for weeding, which is, if we look at this extreme sailing series, to weed that manually would have taken maybe 5 or 10 minutes to manually weed. That cost is passed on to you. So if we can stop that cost being passed on, it means a more cost-effective solution that you can pass on to your client, and they're getting a better result. So to recap, when to use heat transfer, and this is when you've got multiple logos, okay, non-standardized items, so bags, caps, hats, jumpers, polyester sports tops, think of sportswear and things like that. Activewear is a huge market at the moment. It's one of the fastest growing garment supply markets, perfectly printed with heat transfer, okay? Customization would always be the one that you'd look for heat transfer. If it's small run, definitely the cost of the setup being much lower, and it's easier to do small run. If it's full color, every day of the week, you would look at the digital heat transfer solution or technical fabrics. Guys, that's me. That wraps up when you wouldn't use heat transfer, when you would use heat transfer, and how it compares against your current screen print and embroidery solutions. I think we'll open up for questions.
Excellent, thanks Ben, that was terrific. We do have a few questions here. The first one is it true that DTG is being refined to enable printing on polyester fabrics and on dark fabrics, not just light colour fabrics?
DTG is already printing onto dark coloured garments. It comes down to the quality of the printer being used as to whether or not the printer actually wants to use the white ink, because white ink is very difficult to print down a base first, but it's already there. Certainly your cornets print beautifully onto dark garments. Yes, 100%. Are they trying to get the technology up to where it can print onto polyesters? Certainly are. Look, that's what they've got to do, because if you look at the market and the way garments are being supplied, they're no longer being they're not 100% cotton. Cotton's very expensive and becoming more and more expensive as we go on. So yeah, it's certainly going that way. Have I seen successful DTG printing myself onto polyester? Not yet, but it could very well be not far away.
Awesome. The next question is, are metallics and fluoros screen printed?
So we can do fluoros and metallics. We can't do sparkles, okay? So if you're sort of wanting a real glitter effect, we can't do glitters just yet. We're certainly working on it. But certainly fluoros and also metallic finishes, yes, no problems whatsoever. We use base silver metallics and gold metallics, and then we can actually colour those to the actual PMS colour that you're after.
Awesome. And how long do the new transfers last compared to traditional screen print?
Okay, so our new transfers wash probably the best, they have the best washing of any transfer that we've produced. So we do have 3 products of our new screen printed transfer. We have what we call our sportswear transfer, activewear transfer, and also our promo transfer. Now, the difference between those 3 is essentially the washability of it. Our sportswear transfer is designed to be washed up to 60 degrees. Where you see this product is we've printed a lot of the NRL numbers this year. We've printed AFL numbers. We've done a couple of the teams for the Big Bash. We've also got the license for the Big Bash and also the A-League. So you've been actually watching out this new technology. You've been watching on TV all summer, and those products that we've had all the sportswear companies rigorously wash test them to make sure that the teams can almost commercially wash them. We don't advise against. We advise against it. We do say washable up to 40, but we know they're easily washable up to 60 degrees with any problem. Our active wear transfer is the one that we use every day of the week for most everyday garments. It's got the soft and the stretchiness about it. It's washable up to 40 degrees. That's the product that we did on all of the Rio swimwear Olympics stuff. We do all of Budgie Smuggler and Aussie Bums gear. So they use that active wear transfer. IO Merino, we do a lot of tagless printing with our active wear transfer. So it's designed to be worn every day, and it's designed to be on quality garments where if the print was deteriorating, that would have a negative effect on the brand, and we certainly won't allow that. Talking about our final transfer, the promo one, our promo transfer version of it is designed to be a more cost-effective solution for products that don't need to be washed, or for garments where they don't need to be, they're not going to be used for long term. The reason being is we change the glue on it. We don't put a powdered glue there, we print printed glue. It's much easier for us, saves time, so we pass that cost saving on to you guys, but it's designed for promotional products that are a short run sort of thing, short use, short lifespan, or not being washed, bags, caps, those sorts of things.
Okay, the next question, is there any smell from the solvent with the new transfers?
Zero solvent, so it's 100% water-based product. The actual ink is used as a fire retardant and can be sprayed onto a house, and it's biodegradable over a space of about 3 weeks. We're trying to get it to where we're taking an environmental step forward, where we're not using any chemicals or anything like that in the actual process. We're trying to be better for the environment, and that's where we want to take printing. So there's zero odour whatsoever.
Excellent. Next question is this a good solution if you have garments to print on from 3XL men's to small youth sizes? So can you have 3 or 4 print sizes so the logo looks to be in proportion on all of the sizes?
Yes, you can. Now, this is an important one because it does open up for you to be able to do that 100%. What we typically advise people to do is not go over the top with it. So if you're doing small shirts, so kids and women's shirts, we might say to them, okay, pick a size that suits the kids and the women's size. Then for the men's shirts, you probably wouldn't break it down to every size, but you may, if you're doing even up to 5XL, you might decide that, okay, I'm going to put a size of print on the XLs, 2XLs and 3XLs and 5XLs, and my extra small, small, medium and large, they're going to have a size of print. It does get, if we're supplying the transfers out to a producer, so the idea is if you're using a transfer printer that you like and they do a good pressing job for you, they can buy the transfers from us at a trade price and they can press it onto you. So it's not a product that you have to buy through us. We're happy to actually educate you and show you that it's there, but you should be asking, or it could even ask your printer if they could use this solution for you, and we just send them the transfers. When you do multiple size and multiple garments, just for the sizing point of view, it's just organisation, and the person pressing just needs to make sure that they don't make mistakes. If somebody wants to charge maybe a handling fee just to make sure that that is sorted, they might do that. But yes, 100% you could do it so that the size of the logos look proportioned to the sizing.
Excellent. The next one is from someone who says they're only familiar with CMYK, and she's asked, how do you set the colours if 8 inks are being used? Okay,
so it comes down to the printer. Okay, so to give you an idea, Mamaki has moved, most of their printers are all 8-colour printers now. Okay, Roland are moving towards 8-colour machines as well. So if you've only got a CMYK printer, you won't be able to print with the high number of colours. You've just got to be smart about the way that you print. Now, if you're printing with max impact and you're producing, because let's be honest, everybody wants their print to bounce off the transfer. They want it to bounce off the actual shirt and be visible. Heat transfer is a matte solution. Nobody wants a plastic or a shiny print, but a shiny print is where you actually get the brightness from. It's how your eye sees colour. So by printing onto a matte finish, we get that more natural look. which is more what the cotton, the fabric looks like, but it means that the print isn't as bright. Printers compensate by actually upping the amount of ink that they print onto the vinyl so that they get a deeper, richer print. And often with Roland, it's called max impact. What that can do, though, is it puts down more ink, which can sometimes make colours look muddy. And the printer just needs to, anybody doing that needs to be very aware that sometimes the colours might actually change, and sometimes they might be better off not printing such bright colour, like trying to put down so much ink. They actually might get a better result if they don't have that ticked. But often printers with heat transfer, because it's relatively easy to get into, to give you an idea, you can buy a print cut system, just a desktop unit, for about $8,000. It's not fast, it's not quick, it's not going to create the world's best transfers, but it will print and produce a job for you. So from $8,000 upwards, you can get into this market. So you do have varying levels of experience and expertise around how to use a printer. It's important for promotional distributors to ask their printer, or investigate, find out what type of machine they're using, and determine whether or not that printer is the right printer for a certain job. Some jobs where cost is important, a smaller printer might be perfectly suited for it. But if you were doing some printing for Qantas or Jetstar or Harley Davidson, or somewhere where colour matching needs to be spot on, they might find that a bigger printer, who may be more expensive, might be the better solution for that particular job.
Awesome. And it looks like the last question is, what detail can the new transfers go down to?
So we've done registration marks that are about 0.5 mm in height, and that was the full circle with the R in the bottom, and the only way you can see it was actually through a magnifying glass.
Okay, well, I think
brilliant detail. You're right. No. Brilliant detail, better than we've ever seen. Probably as good, if not better, than digital detail.
Excellent. Okay, well, if you do have any other questions, feel free to contact Ben. His details are on the screen. Tomorrow you'll receive a follow-up email with a link to today's recording, and I'll also put Ben's slides in a Dropbox link, and that will be on the email as well. So on behalf of Ben and IPA, thank you for joining us today, and have a great afternoon.
Excellent. Thanks, Kate. Thanks, guys.